Hi, this is Jolinda Stevens again with UU Voices, and I am here with Jason Puracal. He is the director of finance and operations at East Shore Unitarian Church. He is also the East King County organizer for CarbonWA, and he's been a UU, and his whole family have been a UUs for quite a while. Um, Thank you so much for being here, Jason.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Jolinda.
Would you briefly describe the initiative I-732, for the handful of people who are watching this who haven't been out there gathering signatures?
Sure. I-732 is basically an initiative to fight climate change without hurting our economy. It's based on the BC model of a revenue neutral carbon tax that was implemented in 2008. We're basically going to tax pollution, carbon, at $25 a metric ton, and offset that by a 1% drop in our state sales tax, and then also essentially eliminating the business tax for manufacturers in our state, as those will be the ones paying the most in the carbon tax as they're energy intensive, and also funding the working families rebate, such that approximately 400,000 low-income families in our state will receive up to $1,500 back every year in tax relief.
Great, thank you. So this is an initiative to the legislature. So when it gets to the legislature, and it looks like it's going to make it, you just took down or are about to take down enough signatures to qualify, and are bringing backup signatures also. So what options does the legislature have at that point?
Sure. Yes, we just passed 277,000 signatures, so we've got the number now that's required by the state, and as you said, we're working on our cushion for duplicate signatures as well as non-registered voters. So our target is 330 by the end of the year, and the process is basically, again, this is an initiative to the legislature. If they in January session, they have the option of passing it as written. If they do not pass it as written, they can make an amendment, and then that amendment, as well as the original, will go on the ballot in November of 2016. And voters can choose either A or B or none of the above. If the legislatures don't pass it, and then it would automatically just go to the ballot in November 2016, so that voters can vote on it.
Okay, thank you. So how do you see the three, and if you count the president's initiative on carbon control, how do you see all of these carbon control plans fitting together or competing?
Sure. So yeah, if Carbon Washington's I-732 is passed, it will be the strongest policy on carbon in the United States thus far. With how it would fit together with the governor's cap, that's a great plan. It would fit well together. However, with the governor's plan, the mechanism through the Department of Ecology and the Clean Air Act, basically that has some questions regarding scope as well as time period. It may take some time for that to be implemented, and it's my understanding that it would cover roughly about 30 source points. So it's fairly, while it would be a great policy to have, it's still limited in its scope. Whereas I-732 is much more encompassing of the entire economy for Washington State. As of the third potential plan that's on the table, well, I assume that you're referring to the alliances plan that's potentially going to be on the table. However, it's hard for me to talk about that at all until the details are released. So we'll look forward to seeing that when they eventually are.
Okay, thank you. So, um, and I'm trying to remember the name exactly, the communities of color um, for um, climate um, climate justice coalition is what I believe they're called, um, have joined with the alliance, and they have some criticisms of I-732. And I wonder if you would address two of the probably most salient um, problems that they bring up. The first is that communities of color were not consulted in writing the initiative.
Yes, so I personally came on to the Carbon Washington campaign in April, so I can't speak with authority about what happened prior to that. I do know that a small group of part-time volunteers who put the initiative together for Carbon Washington did the best they could with the resources that they had. That being said, I do hear that the Communities of Color Coalition feel that they were not included in the process, and myself and the rest of Carbon Washington staff have and will continue to try to develop relationships so that we can better support each other as we move forward in the same space.
Okay, thank you. And the second one would be that there is not provision to bring extra resources to the communities hardest hit by air pollution, and that there isn't a sufficient tax offset for very low income people. I know that money goes into the Working Families Act rebate, but there are plenty of particularly very poor people who aren't eligible for that because they don't work, because they're ill, or for other reasons. So how do you address that?
We completely understand that no policy can accomplish everything. And our policy is really good about addressing two specific issues. One, putting a strong price on carbon, and number two, reforming our tax structure so that it is significantly less regressive. So again, through the Working Families rebate, it would provide for approximately 400,000 families to receive up to $1,500 back every year. And that addresses a significant portion of the lower 40% of income bracket in our state. So again, it's not going to solve all our problems in Washington state, but it is a strong policy that we believe will have support at the ballot on both sides of the aisle.
Okay. Let me see if I can get a little more pointed. Would the forces behind I-732, and I realize that it is a fairly small group that we are talking about in terms of the staff and the key volunteers, would they be willing to put forward and lobby for a law that would address the issue of very poor people who don't qualify for the earned income credit?
So I can't speak for the campaign as a whole regards to what every individual will do on the campaign, but I know from staff meetings and other communications that everyone at Carbon Washington that I've spoken with is very passionate about many different social issues, not just putting a price on carbon. That is what we're addressing here in the I-732, the price of putting a strong price on carbon and reforming our tax structure. And we have said as a whole that we are more than open to support other complementary initiatives that would address all the other issues that deal with our society as a whole in Washington state. So yes, we are open to that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Jason. I really appreciate it. I know that you are a very busy man. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you again, once again, for the invitation, Jolinda, and my best wishes.
Thank you.